Hello guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, I am Milk. Oops. So this video, if you're watching it or you come across it and you're like curious as to know what had me thinking about this, honestly, society. I feel like in my short 3 years as an actual astrologer, but studying since like 2013, I feel like there are so many thoughts and so many feelings about so many different things pertaining to astrology, astrologers, and the astrology community. And I just wanted to have like a conversation, like an open dialogue with you guys, because there are so many things that honestly, like, I wish I knew and that I was actually prepared for when I joined this career pursuit. So yeah, maybe you guys can learn from my mistakes. So first things first is that when I first started my astrology journey, I really wasn't aware of the fact that, well, for one, a lot of people confuse spirituality with astrology. And astrology, technically, yes, is pseudoscience, but originally was considered a science. Science and spirituality are two very different things, and I just feel like a lot of people very much conflate the two. They treat people who claim or call themselves astrologers as a form of like spiritual guru-ness, and I feel like that's why there's so much confusion surrounding the kind of standard you should be or the kind of person you should be. And yeah, honestly, I didn't know about any of that stuff. When I got into it because I liked astrology. I felt it was comfortable. I was very, like, it was a form of comfort for me to be able to study and like learn about it. And then obviously I got really good at it. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of my astrological career fell into my lap originally, and when my Twitter blew up, I wasn't really aware that people could be an astrologer full-time. I was kind of tone deaf about that. Now I'm actually taking classes. Now I'm actually getting like the actual certifications in the correct way. But that's why I'm making this video. I want to talk about the correct way. I want to talk about why, like, honestly, something that I really wasn't aware of when I started both an astrology social media account and then also becoming an astrologer. I wasn't aware that my biggest bullies were not going to be, you know, white dudes from Reddit in my mentions talking to me about astrology is not real. I was not aware that my biggest bullies would be the astrology community. And, you know, obviously that's an umbrella. That's a plethora of subdivisions and groups. There's so many different branches of astrology. Think of it like science. There are so many different, you know, realms of science that people, you know, partake in and believe in. And so I really don't want to say like it's the astrology community out to get me, you know, but I really do feel like I was not aware that there could be so many angry people, and then like the same people who I guess were so preachy and so like promoting themselves as spiritual gurus on Twitter were quite honestly like spiritual demons. Like, can I say that? But this isn't even really about me. This is just something that I wanted to make to kind of show people who maybe are astrology enthusiasts, people who want to cross over from astrology enthusiast to astrologer one day. I wanted to make this video for young Milk, young me, who maybe didn't get to really know the ins and outs before going into it. And I think once I got into it, I got in way too over my head. And that's just the reality of it. I think, you know, I guess the biggest thing that I really want to mention is that all communities, all groups, all, you know, think of it like a job. Astrology is a job for some people, like it is for myself. And I guess technically other astrologers out there are going to be considered co-workers. I think unfortunately, because for some reason it feels like such a dog-eat-dog competitive world. I think because a lot of, in these days in 2021, a lot of people's clients base off of how popular they are on social media. And, you know, I understand that like a lot of very versed and like studious astrologers maybe aren't, you know, TikTok stars, or maybe they're not like Twitter stars, or maybe they're not being on social media in general, because they are kind of mutually exclusive, and now they have to compete with these people who, you know, for giving them the benefit of the doubt, sometimes aren't as knowledgeable as them. That's valid completely. But I also feel like someone else's success in your field does not take away from your success. It does not take away from your finances, from your bag, from your money. Someone else's client could eventually be your client. That's the beautiful thing about astrology, is that people typically want to hear a second opinion about their natal chart. It's not like one thing. So just I feel like that's the biggest issue, is just a lot of people, and so many people are so competitive. And like when I was new to the field and I was still kind of the astrology enthusiast, I started selling readings in 2018. It stopped in 2018 and then started again in 2020. I'll leave a link of the reason why I stopped above here somewhere. It's a long story, but long story short, honestly, it didn't really start from clients or from customers or from anyone calling me out. It was astrologers that had issues with me. That was the reason why I stopped readings, and I did not talk about that. I still don't really talk about it, just because like it is what it is. There's going to be internal politics wherever you go. It's just unfortunate that a lot of people don't realize that the astrology community, astrologers in general, like, it's just as corrupt as anything else. That's just the reality of it. Do I think that there's good and bad people in that field and that demographic? Of course, absolutely. Do I think that there's people who get very like envious and jealous of other people's growth or success, and then make it a point to personally try and sabotage people? Yes, it's been done to me multiple times, and I don't need to be a martyr about it. I'm fine now. I'm doing great things, but I just feel like it's unfortunately the reality of entering into the astrology realm of things. And I don't think that anyone in their head thinks that they're a bad person. That's like, in a really honest way, I don't think anyone in their head thinks that they have the motive to want to harm someone. I just think that jealousy and envy can make people greedy, and I think that the need to try to compare or compete with other people is more prevalent, especially when you have the urgency to pay your bills. So I get why it could be a dog-eat-dog world, but I really, really want to stress the importance of the fact that, like, just because certain astrologers might like or dislike you, sometimes it really has nothing to do with you, and that's honestly the reality of it. Now, with that said, there's a lot of different subdivisions of astrology. There are, like, the astrology enthusiast with the huge platform who eventually crosses over to astrologer, like I was. And then there's the astrologer student, went to astrology school, didn't really like get into social media, and sees those people and has issues with them. Valid, fine, but I do feel like a lot of astrology, even in ancient Hellenistic textbooks, was always gatekeeping, like always. Like, I think even back in like the medieval Babylonian times, Mesopotamia, I feel like the astrologers back then were so coveting of their information that they needed to create a whole language to make it very like overly jargon and like complicated and intricate so that it wasn't accessible. And that is still a problem in 2021, where astrologers don't want information to be accessible because they want to be able to charge. And, also granted, yes, there is an ethics part of it. People want to make sure that they're being like the Yoda to the Luke, making sure that they're training you in the correct ways, so that you don't make a lot of the technical errors that you probably would on your own. But at the same time, I do feel like it's very much rooted in classism, because it's very much like, I mean, honestly, before I had all the money to buy the astrology classes, to buy the textbooks, I had the internet. My mom is an immigrant from Iran. I moved around a lot growing up, and I didn't really have a lot of resources, and that's my reality. And when I was originally learning and becoming an astrology enthusiast, I did a lot of my research online, on websites, on Tumblr, because it was free, because it was accessible. And it wasn't because my way of learning was wrong. It's just because I was disadvantaged. So like there's a lot of these weird commentaries about astrologers who had the privilege, the advantage, the money, the resources to put themselves in those schools, get that pristine or certified sense of professional astrologer, but then there's people who didn't. And I also really don't want to knock anyone that went about it that way, you know, just because there's a classist society. I mean, obviously there are so many umbrellas, like people who had the resources to go. I'm sure, you know, there's good and bad people of all calibers. There's people who taught themselves originally before they had resources to go to school and maybe are kind of crooked or bad, and then there's people who went to school and actually really earnestly enthusiastic and then professional astrologers and really care about their work and do great work. And I just think that that's kind of like it's an umbrella. There's literally good and bad people of all calibers. My thing that I just kind of want to warn people who go into the astrology world or become astrologers professionally is just that you have to be careful about getting too close to other astrologers maybe, and then also like what you share to them, because I do feel like I've had people dissect my natal chart in chat rooms. Like I've pissed off over 100 astrologers online. Like that's just that's my brand. But I do feel like people have dissected my chart. They've used it against me to try to bully me. Like they've misused my quotes and targeted and harassed me and took things out of context to make me lose followers. Like it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's unfortunate because it's really unnecessary for it to be that way, but I really think that it's important to keep in mind there's good and bad of all walks of life, and there's no right or wrong way to learn astrology. That is like the really dramatic run-on sentence to get to that point of this video. That's the main central point of this video. It's just that there's really no wrong or right way to learn astrology. As long as you are invested and you have a good sense of ethics and you're in it for the right reasons, it's really important that you just don't let people psych you out and you don't let people scare you. Like I said, like I'm literally on the track now to be a professional astrologer, and I'm going to be certified soon. And you know, I just think that looking back at like my old self and going into this, I wish someone had warned me like, hey, you know, there's going to be good and bad people wherever you go. Some of the astrologers in the community that you really respect probably won't like you. They probably won't respect the beliefs you have. And astrologers are very opinionated people. I mean, rightfully so. I feel like they spend most of their work or their legacy having to defend that astrology is even real in the first place. So, I mean, I get why people might feel like they like have to always be overly protected and guarded of it. But I just think that it's important to remember there's no right or wrong way to be an astrologer, as long as you're not, you know, doing anything with bad intentions and you're trying to learn and you're trying to educate yourself and you're being honest about your work. That's all that matters. And that was my big run-on sentence. But I do think that, you know, yeah, honestly, I wish I was aware that astrologers were so competitive and like I don't know. I don't want to sound like I hate all of the astrologers, because I really don't. Like, I don't have issues with anyone. Even the people that I have mutually blocked, like, I don't have issues with anyone. Like, I just feel like, you know, we all have different energies and beliefs, and it's easy to feel competitive or to compare yourself to other people when you're worried about putting, you know, food on the table. That's understandable, but I just feel like it's sometimes people make it bigger than it has to be. This is already 15 minutes long, but if you feel like this was like kind of comforting in a weird way, like, you know, by letting you know, like, I personally don't believe in gatekeeping in astrology. I personally don't believe in a right or wrong way to be an astrologer, as long as you're, you know, you have good intent, and that you have to just be careful of the astrologers in general. Like, treat them like people. You have to be careful of people. It's just how it is. There's no good or bad people, I would say, as astrologers. I just think that there's people that think that they're meaning well, but they could just be having a lot of stuff going on with them that they have to work through. And so it's just important to be mindful when you navigate that. As long as you're doing what you love and you're focusing on yourself, It's easy to get into the Twitter trauma and the politics. It's easy to call people out or have issues with people or have drama with people, but it's a lot more peaceful if you just focus on yourself. I want to say keep to yourself, but I personally do. I just feel comfortable after everything that, it's been like 3 years on Twitter, and yeah, so I just feel like it's comfortable, it's easier that way, but that's my personal preference. And yeah, I don't know if this video is weird. I don't even know if I should post it, but I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys, randomly ramble. I hope this isn't going to be like some big, like, dramatic video when I post it. Like, I feel like the astrology community can be very, 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 very sensitive and on edge all the time, and just honestly there are people that just like want a fight, because like in a really crappy way sometimes people think that like if they call someone out they'll get rid of their followers and then they can take them. I don't know, it's just like weird social clout politics. But yeah, so I hope I didn't make anyone look bad in this video. I'm trying to think. I'm like literally scared right now. But yeah, like I said, there's no right or wrong way to do astrology. There is just a right or wrong way of not to be an asshole. Can I say that? And yeah, so if you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to hear more about like my experience as an astrologer or more about like different things that I go through, yeah, let me know, and I will post more stuff like this. I need to be better about posting and making content. It's just hard sometimes because I'm stressed out all the time lately. So I'm trying to like build my brand, and I'm trying to do readings, and I'm trying to keep up with my Patreon readings, and as like privileged as that is to be whining about, it's very overwhelming. And then it's also like ostracizing when like I have a love for astrology. I never really had a love for putting myself out there. So like obviously I have body dysmorphia. I hate posting photos of myself on Instagram, but you have to like post like every 2 days to be good for clout, and it's just so yeah. Anyways, I hope you all have a good day. I hope you all have a good week. I hope that my new background is cool too. I really tried to make it pretty for you guys. Tried to put some aesthetic in there. So yeah, I hope you have a good day. And I will see you in my next video.